Hi everyone, Jack and Miso from Eisakuben Kaiwa Community here again. And today we are talking about wearing your shoes inside the house. So let's get started. Alright, so before we begin, I want to say today we are only talking about American culture. I know a lot of other foreign countries do take off their shoes when they go inside, but today we are talking about America. So, if anyone has ever been to America and visited a friend's house, or maybe you've had an American friend come to Japan and visit your house, you might have noticed that they might not take off their shoes when they go inside. And this can be quite a big culture shock, right? Why are you not taking off your shoes? They're dirty, right? So today I want to answer the question of why Americans do not take off their shoes. And to do that, I want to talk about two different situations. So the first situation is when Americans are alone in their own house. And the second situation is when they are visiting someone else's house. So let's start by looking at the first situation. What do Americans do when they are alone in their own house? And to talk about this, I want to use my own family as an example. And in my family, we don't take off our shoes inside. That isn't to say we never do. Actually, as a kid, I always preferred to use my socks, so I almost never wore shoes inside. But my dad and my mom both wear shoes inside their house. So you might be thinking, but it's so dirty, right? And you might be right, but actually Americans usually do not think of their shoes as dirty. Unless there is like a lot of mud all over their shoes and when they walk, they are leaving dirty marks. Usually Americans just think shoes are shoes and they are not dirty. So that is the main reason why to Americans it is okay to wear your shoes inside. But I will say my family always had a pair of shoes that we usually wore inside. So for example, my dad always had a pair of sandals that he would mostly wear inside. But these sandals are not like Japanese slippers. They are meant to be worn outside, and my dad did wear his sandals outside too, but mostly he would wear them inside. So let me use an example. So when my dad would come home from work, he would come home in his work shoes and he would walk through our house with his shoes on, his outdoor shoes, until he got to his bedroom where he would change out of his work clothes and into his house clothes, and at the same time he would change his shoes. So it's fine to wear your shoes inside even for a little bit. Now let's talk about the second situation, and this is maybe more interesting and more important to you as a guest visiting an American. And that is, what do you do when you visit someone's house? And something I want you to be careful of is it can actually be rude to take your shoes off. Yes, it can actually be rude to take your shoes off. So let me explain. So, as I mentioned before, Americans don't think of shoes as dirty unless they are very obviously dirty. So, if you go to someone's house and you have mud all over your shoes, please tell your host or the person whose house you're visiting, "My shoes are really dirty. Do you want me to take them off?" And probably they will say, "Yes, please. You can leave them by the door." And that is perfectly normal and polite. But if your shoes are not obviously dirty, it is usually best to keep them on. And the reason for that is when you take your shoes off, it can be seen as being very relaxed or treating their house like it's your house. Like you are leaning back on their sofa to watch TV and relaxing 100%. But this is not always good, right? If you are going to a party at someone's house and it's more formal, everyone will keep their shoes on. It's just more natural that way. So actually for me coming to Japan, it was very hard at first to always take my shoes off at someone's house that I was not close friends with because I felt like I'm not comfortable here yet, so I didn't want to take off my shoes. And the same for restaurants for me. Restaurants are full of strangers and I'm not comfortable there, so it felt very strange to take my shoes off. But after living here for a while, I've gotten used to it. But that's all I wanted to talk about today. It's a very interesting cultural difference, don't you think? And I know a lot of people will think it's so dirty to keep your shoes on inside. And you might be right, but families like mine are very worried about keeping their house clean and clean almost every day. But even my family wears their shoes inside just because the way of thinking is different, right? To Americans, shoes are not dirty, so it's no problem to wear them inside. But let me know what you all think, and let me know if you've experienced this before. Have you had an American guest come to your house and wear their shoes inside? Or have you visited an American friend and have they asked you not to take your shoes off? I'd love to hear your story in the comments. But that's gonna do it for this video. If you want to practice your English more, please click the link below and sign up for a lesson with me at英作文会話.com. Your first lesson is half off, so give it a shot. But that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Miso, you never wear shoes, do you?